Welcome to Loup TV. I'm your host, Gene Munster, along with Andrew Murphy. Our topic today is aspirational marketing. Our inspiration related to the aspirational marketing is Apple's Mac event that they held earlier this week. And this is just yet another example of something that Apple does exceptionally well. Isn't very obvious, but as we dug into it, it is quite informative. So I'm going to take a step back and first talk a little bit about aspirational marketing. And one company that is a case study in that is Rolex. Their ability to go and essentially highlight people who are, I guess, aspirational type of people within their advertising. And this is a throwback to the 1970s and 80s. We're seeing some images here of Rolex ads. And I want to look at these three people, Reinhold, George, and Peter. They are people that most citizens in the 1970s and 80s probably wouldn't know who they are. But if you read a little bit about Reinhold, he's a mountaineer. George is a director of New York Zoology Society and Animal Research. And Peter wrote Jaws. But the basic idea here is these personalities that kind of draw us to think of ourselves as more than maybe we actually are. Rolex has been using this game plan for a long time. They've been 40 plus years on this. And most recently, one of the people that they've been highlighting is a person named Joseph Cook. Joseph studies glaciers there in Greenland. And so this concept about where Rolex is, how they can be an aspirational brand, we think was something that Apple has looked to and has done for a long time, but we've just more recently studied it in this event. And so that brings us to the event. And I'm going to turn it over to Andrew and ask you, what was your take from the event?
Well, they started out the event with what I think maybe one of the best top 5 Apple ads of all time. You got the famous 1984 ad. Then you've got the Think Different ad, narrated by Richard Dreyfuss, and black and white ad that showed famous people. This one, this Behind the Mac ad, is a series of ads that they've done, and the film, as they call it, used famous people.
I love that too, by the way. They called it a film. Actually, no, they didn't. I don't think called this a film.
They did.
Had two films. They had 2 films there. I
So
apologize.
They showed this film, including people like Spike Lee, Lady Gaga, Gloria Steinem, and what they're doing here is they're hearkening back to these famous Apple ads, but they are using famous people to illuminate, I think, and trigger us to aspire to be like these people and use our Macs like these people. It was an instant classic, I think, and an iconic ad, and it just started a whole series of events where Apple inspired the people watching the event to consider how they might use their Macs to be world class at something.
I definitely felt that tie back to the earlier campaign. They said, and there's a certain type of person that doesn't wait for greatness; they make it. As they showed this movie, after the movie, they moved into basically Geek Fest 101, where they were talking to developers about all the bits and bytes. We're going to skip over that. That was a different topic. And then they moved into the actual products themselves. They announced 3 new Macs that would have their new silicon on the M1 chip. Those Macs included the MacBook Air, MacBook or Mac Mini, and then the MacBook Pro. And I'm just going to read you, as they were showing some of these, as they were explaining the products, they would do this same thing that Rolex does when they talk about some pretty geeky stuff here. I'm going to give you some examples. And at one point they said that the MacBook Mini could compile millions of lines of Xcode of ProLogic music production. At another point, increasing the resolution of photos in Pixelmeter Pro, or playback 8K ProRes footage of full quality DaVinci Resolve. Also, on-device ML tasks that use the neural engine, or ripping through intense tasks like the video transcoder in compression. And my favorite was great machine for scientists, engineers, and developers utilizing deep machine learning programs like TensorFlow and Create ML. it was quite inspiring, even if you weren't picking up on it. I was thinking these machines can do an awful lot, and really showing the way about this is more than just, even though we may be using this for doing Instagram and organizing our kids' soccer leagues, in the background, we know these machines can do much more. And that brought us to the end of the event, or close to the end, and they had their second 1.5 movie. What was your take on that second movie, Andrew?
Yeah, I think they brought it from the famous people in the Behind the Mac ad to world class professionals. And these are people that are smart, creative, the best at what they do: a neurotechnologist, a photographer and director, a designer, an illustrator. This said to the viewer, a Mac can help me be great at what I do. And I think they went chronologically from the ad in the beginning to these examples and use cases that really helped people frame in how to use these Macs that they just introduced to be world class at something. And it says, I am smart, I am creative, I can be world class with these new Macs. So
That's awesome. And when you flip through those too, and we think back to where we started with some of those Rolex examples, I think that is right in line with that. That brings us to the end of Loop TV. It also brings Andrew, myself, and all of you viewers. Now you have a master's or some form of advanced degree in aspirational marketing. Thank you, Apple, for the aspirations throughout this episode of Loop TV. And bye for now.